Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Fabrizio Romano here as always to keep you posted on the transfer market. But today is the day after the deadline day. We have to enter into the secrets of many stories happened, especially on the deal collapse in this video. And so let's jump into it together. Here we are guys, the day after the deadline day. The transfer window is closed, but there is still time for, here we go, Gündoğan is going to Galatasaray, signing his contract today till 2027. So a big move for Gündoğan, who is trying a new chapter in Turkey. He's been wanted for years by Turkish clubs, and this time is happening. A 2-year contract released by Manchester City on a free transfer, but Man City will save part of his salary, and so Guehi Gündoğan is the here we go of September of the 2nd of September, because this is the agreement between Man City and Gündoğan. He's already on his way to Istanbul. But guys, in this video I wanted to talk about deal collapsed in the final days, in the final weeks of the summer transfer window. Some has collapsed, some was reported as collapsed, and it didn't. But let me start with Chelsea. I wanted to start with Chelsea because yesterday a deal collapsed for Chelsea. 2 deals collapsed for Chelsea. One in Premier League, and this with Tyrique. Tyrique has been a target for Red Bull Leipzig. Tyrique has been a target for Roma. Both clubs have been pursuing this possibility. I can reveal to you that Tyrique at some point was also an option to be included in the conversations between Chelsea and Man United for Alejandro Garnacho. It was end of June when Tyrique was one of the names discussed between Man United and Chelsea. Then Roma went very strong on the deal with several meetings, with several discussions, but my understanding is that Roma manager Gasperini was not so sure about the possibility of bringing that kind of super young player to Roma, and so the deal collapsed for Tyrique with all these clubs. But the real deal collapsed for Tyrique has been with Fulham. Because Fulham entered the race on deadline day in the afternoon. They signed Samu Chukwueze, they signed Kevin from Shakhtar, but they wanted to add a talent, an opportunity on the market. And that player was Tyrique. Well, everything was agreed with Chelsea. £22 million, an important sell-on clause, over 30%. So everything was agreed between the parties, but the deal collapsed because of documents not signed in time. Tyrique was really sad yesterday after what happened, because for him was the opportunity to go and play. He's very young, he's 2006, so you can imagine for the boy the chance to go and have an opportunity, but deal off. Chelsea will include him in their Champions League squad, will support Tyrique, and then in January he's gonna move again if there is no opportunity, of course, in different markets. Now, another deal collapsed for Chelsea is David Fofana, who had to go to Charlton. But the deal has collapsed also in this case because of documents. So nothing signed in time, and that Fofana deal collapsed. Then, of course, in this case, we will see if they will find a different solution. Also in this case, maybe in different markets. The story for Chelsea about deals collapsing has been with Nico Jackson. But guys, the reality is that the Nico Jackson deal never really collapsed. The Nico Jackson deal was on hold. And being on hold is different than seeing a deal collapsed. So the reality, from what I'm hearing, is that after the injury of Liam Delap, Chelsea told Bayern and the agents of Nico Jackson to stop every single conversation because they wanted the player back. But on player side, the reaction was immediately, I don't want to play for Chelsea anymore. With maximum respect from Nico Jackson, because he maintains a good relationship with Chelsea, but he feels that everything was broken between them on a sporting point of view. So he wanted to play for Bayern. It was the opportunity he really wanted. And so this is why the deal was on hold, but not off. The deal is off if the player is returning, and the negotiation stopped. In that case, the negotiation always continued between Bayern and Chelsea to try to find a solution. Also with the player side, because the player was pushing to go to Bayern. So at the end, they found a solution. Chelsea had what they wanted, because they have, from 15, is a 16.5 low fee for Nicolas Jackson, a record. Also, the player has what he wanted, to play for Bayern, and Bayern had what they wanted, Nicolas Jackson. Also, remember that the deal changed also in terms of buy clause, because there is an element of obligation that could be triggered in case of certain conditions linked to the appearances of the player. So every part had what they wanted, but this deal was never off. The deal was never called off. I know there were many reports about that. But from what I'm told, behind the scenes, they were always working to find a solution. This is why Chelsea recalled Mark Guehi. This is why Nico Jackson never returned to London and always stayed in Munich waiting for a green light. So this is the reality of the story. Then, of course, for Chelsea it was time to decide, but this is the reality of the story. Another deal collapsed, guys, is Javi Galán from Nottingham Forest. From Atletico Madrid to Nottingham Forest. And so this is why Nottingham Forest, in the final hours of deadline day, decided to go and sign Zinchenko from Arsenal, so it was a big surprise. But because of the deal collapsed with Javi Galán, because Javi Galán had to be the left back, then deal off, and Zinchenko in the final minutes of the transfer window. Loan deal from Arsenal. And then, guys, of course, the deal collapsed of this window is also the one of Marc Guehi. What happened with Marc Guehi is really crazy. Everything was done, everything was agreed, also the medical. The documents were sent, including the deal sheet, in the final hour of the transfer window. Marc Guehi was ready to sign, £35 million plus 10 in advance. But then the change of things for Igor, who went to West Ham instead of going to Crystal Palace, he did a medical with Crystal Palace. So this is the deadline madness. Well, in that moment, the Igor deal collapsed. Marc Guehi deal also went on hold and then called off at the end of the deadline day. But there is a crucial figure here, and this Oliver Glasner, the manager of Crystal Palace, told the chairman, Steve Parish, that he was really upset about the situation. And so if Marc Guehi was going to join Liverpool without a replacement, with Igor not going to Crystal Palace, well, probably I think there was a huge chance to see, a concrete chance to see Oliver Glasner resigning and leaving his job at Crystal Palace. The man who brought 2 trophies in few months, the man who is doing fantastic 3-0 to Aston Villa a few days ago in the middle of this crazy transfer window. So it was a really tense situation. Palace had to decide £35 million or your manager is going, basically. And Palace decided to follow that way, to keep the player. Marc Guehi is really upset. Marc Guehi is really sad. I will have more to say on this story in terms of future, because the future is going to be a big part of this. This video specific is on the collapsing, but for the future of Marc Guehi, there is more to say. For sure, the player is not happy about the situation. He wanted to go to Liverpool. He wanted to have this opportunity. He can't. So the deal has been called off, of course. But Marc Guehi is really upset. So I expect also reaction from the player. He's going to be professional as always. Last summer he had to go to Newcastle. Deal collapsed. The player didn't create any problem. This summer, for the whole summer, he was super professional. One day before his transfer to Liverpool, scoring a goal against Aston Villa. So he's going to act as a super professional. But for sure, this situation is going to be something that is going to impact the future of Marc Guehi, because we all have more to say on this one. And so, guys, let me know your thoughts on all these stories, the collapsed days on deadline day. I wait for your opinion, guys, here in comments. Remember to like this video, turn on the notification bell, subscribe to the channel. See you soon.